My name is Olivia. I'm 32 years old, and up until last Christmas, I believed I understood the precise, unchangeable geometry of my family. It was a simple, if painful, equation. My parents, plus my younger sister, equaled a complete, happy unit. I was the variable, the outsider who was factored in when convenient. I thought I had made my peace with it. I thought I knew exactly what to expect when I pulled into my parents' driveway on Christmas Eve. The same perfectly manicured lawn, the same oversized wreath on the door, the same suffocating wave of forced holiday cheer. But the thing about equations is that sometimes a new element gets introduced that shatters the entire formula. This year, that element was a set of mortgage papers with my name on them. Let me paint you a picture of the Miller family. My parents, Richard and Carol, are in their early 60s, pillars of their local community, and residents of the same charming suburban house for 40 years. To the outside world, they are the picture of stability and grace. Then there's my sister, Chloe. At 27, she is 5 years my junior, but she has always been the center of our family's universe. She's the sun, and the rest of us are just planets caught in her orbit. Her boyfriend of 2 years, Liam, is a nice enough guy who has mastered the art of telling my father exactly what he wants to hear. And then there's me, Olivia, the responsible one. The one who never asked for anything. The disparity wasn't subtle, it was the foundational text of our family. When I was 16, my beat-up sedan finally died. I spent the summer working a miserable job at a fast food joint, saving every penny for a down payment on a reliable used car to get me to school and work. My parents called it building character. 3 years later, for Chloe's 16th birthday, they presented her with a brand new convertible, a giant red bow tied around the steering wheel. They said it was a necessity for her social life. When I graduated from high school with honors, I earned a full academic scholarship to a state university. I worked 2 part-time jobs to cover my living expenses. My parents expressed their pride but offered no financial support. When Chloe went to a private arts college a few years later, they paid her entire tuition, room, and board without a second thought, telling everyone how important it was to nurture her creative spirit. I learned to swallow the bitterness. It was just the way things were. Chloe was the investment. I was the self-sustaining utility. So, when I arrived on Christmas Eve, I was prepared for the usual program. The house was warm and smelled of pine needles, and my mother's baking. The extended family was already there: my jovial Uncle Mike, my gossipy Aunt Janet, and my quiet Grandma Rose, observing everything from her armchair. My mother, Carol, gave me a brief, papery hug. "Olivia, honey, how's the firm?" she asked, her eyes already scanning the room for Chloe's arrival. "It's good, Mom. We landed a huge new client last month," I replied. "I work in architectural design. I've done well for myself, and I've been diligently saving for years, hoping to buy my own condo soon." "That's nice, dear," she said, her attention already gone. I drifted to the kitchen to offer help, and that's when I felt the first tremor. My parents were exchanging small, conspiratorial smiles. They were buzzing with a secret energy that was unusual even for them. When Chloe and Liam finally made their grand entrance, the energy in the room shifted. My parents rushed to them, whispering excitedly. Chloe herself was practically incandescent, glowing with a smug, self-satisfied aura. She clung to Liam's arm, giggling at everything he said. "You seem happy," I remarked to her by the snack table. "Oh, I am," she beamed, giving me a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Tonight is going to be life-changing. I figured Liam was about to propose. Good for them. It would at least give the family something new to obsess over." We gathered around the dining table at 7. The scene was a perfect holiday postcard. Mom's best china gleamed under the chandelier, Dad carved the turkey with practiced ceremony, and Uncle Mike launched into his repertoire of terrible jokes. It was all so painfully normal. I was halfway through my second helping of mashed potatoes when my mother stood and clinked her fork against her wine glass. "If I could have everyone's attention, please." A hush fell over the room. My mother's voice trembled with theatrical emotion. Your father and I have been keeping a very special secret, and we wanted to share our joy with all of you tonight. My father stood beside her, his chest puffed out with pride. For months, we've been searching for the perfect place, a place for the next chapter of our family, and we found it. We are thrilled to announce that we have purchased a stunning 2-bedroom condo in the new waterfront development for Chloe and Liam. The room exploded, not with surprise, but with performative delight. My aunt gasped, my uncle cheered, and Chloe shot up from her seat, feigning shock. "Oh my God, you guys, really?" She squealed, though her eyes told a different story. She knew, she had known all along. "Yes, darling, it's all yours," my mother said, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. I just sat there, my fork frozen in midair, the food turning to ash in my mouth. A condo. They bought her a brand new luxury condo. The very thing I had been working tirelessly towards for 5 years. The closing is in 2 weeks. My father boomed over the chatter. It has a view of the skyline, a gourmet kitchen, a gym in the building. Only the best for our girl. Everyone was talking at once, peppering Chloe with questions. She was already passing her phone around, showing off pictures of a sleek, modern space that she had clearly already toured. "It's just perfect," Chloe gushed, hugging our parents. Liam and I were just saying how cramped our little apartment is. My father winked. "Well, you'll be needing the extra space soon, won't you? Especially once you two are married." More cheers, more applause. Liam was shaking my father's hand, a triumphant grin plastered on his face. I felt a nudge. It was my mother looking down the table at me. "Olivia, isn't it wonderful?" she called out, her voice bright and expectant. I felt 20 pairs of eyes turn to me. I forced a smile that felt like cracking plaster. "It's amazing. Congratulations, Chloe." My sister, high on her victory, ran over and wrapped me in a tight, suffocating hug. "I'm so excited. We have to have a housewarming party as soon as we move in. You'll help me decorate, won't you, Liv?" I nodded mutely, the pit in my stomach growing colder and heavier. They had never offered me a security deposit, let alone a down payment. The most expensive gift I'd ever received from them was a $100 gift card. But Chloe gets a condo. Of course she does. The rest of the dinner was a blur of the condo, Chloe's decorating plans, Liam's new commute, my parents' detailed account of the negotiation process. My own life, my career, my savings goals, all of it, was rendered invisible. I was an afterthought at my own family's Christmas dinner. After the plates were cleared, I retreated into the kitchen, mechanically helping my mother load the dishwasher, the clatter of plates a welcome distraction from the triumphant chatter in the living room. "It's a really beautiful place, Mom," I said, my voice hollow. "Isn't it?" she replied, beaming. "We just knew it was the one. It's a smart investment in her future." An hour later, as I was politely listening to Grandma Rose's complaints about the modern world, my father appeared in the doorway. "Olivia, can you give your mother and me a hand in the study for a moment?" I excused myself, assuming they needed help moving a box of old decorations. But when I walked into the study, the mood was different. The festive cheer had evaporated. They both stood there, their expressions sober and businesslike. My father was holding a thick manila folder. "What's up?" I asked. He handed me the folder without a word. "These are for you." I opened it. Inside was a stack of dense, official-looking documents. My eyes scanned the headings. Mortgage agreement, loan disclosure statement, amortization schedule. The property address was for the new condo. "Okay," I said slowly, trying to connect the dots. "Why are you giving me the mortgage papers for Chloe's place?" My mother sighed, as if explaining something to a difficult child. "Well, we had enough in our savings for the down payment and the closing costs. The rest of it, that's for you to handle." The floor seemed to drop out from under me. I stared at them, waiting for the punchline. There wasn't one. "Hold on," I said, placing the folder firmly on the desk. "Are you telling me that you bought Chloe a condo and you expect me to pay the mortgage?" They both nodded. It was my father who spoke. his tone laced with a chilling pragmatism. We know you have a substantial amount saved up, Olivia. You've mentioned it yourself. And your job pays very well. Frankly, this won't be a significant hardship for you. My mother chimed in, her voice soft and wheedling. Think of it as a way to finally show how much you love your sister. To contribute to the family in a meaningful way. I felt a dizzying wave of disbelief. My savings? I have savings because I've been working 60-hour weeks for the past 5 years to buy my own home. I have plans. I was going to start making offers in the spring. My father's face hardened, the faux jovial mask of Christmas dinner melting away to reveal the cold condescension beneath. Let's be realistic, Olivia. You're 32 and you're single. There's no boyfriend, no prospects on the horizon. What do you need a 2-bedroom condo for? You're on track to be a career woman, an old maid. That's your choice. But Chloe is different. She has Liam. She's building a real future, a family. She deserves this. Her need is greater than your want. Each word was a physical blow. I looked at my mother, my silent, pleading gaze begging her to intervene, to defend me. She just stared at her hands. A portrait of complicity. That was it. That was the moment, the last frayed thread of hope I had for their love finally snapped. No, I said, my voice low but steady. I am not paying for Chloe's mortgage. Don't be so selfish, Olivia. My father's voice rose. But I was already moving. I grabbed my coat and my purse from the hall closet. Olivia, where are you going? Chloe called from the living room, oblivious, still basking in her triumph. I looked at her perfect, easy life that I was now expected to finance. I don't feel well, I said, the lie tasting like acid. I have to go. I walked out the front door, not looking back. I could hear the murmur of voices behind me. My parents already spinning a narrative to cover for my abrupt departure. The drive home was a fog of rage and pain. Old maid. No prospects. He hadn't just dismissed my dreams. He had invalidated my entire life. I sat in my car in the parking garage of my modest rental building, the silence of the empty space amplifying the screaming in my head. Upstairs, I poured a large glass of Cabernet and let the tears come. Hot, angry, cleansing tears. I spent Christmas Day alone, the silence a balm. For the first time, I wasn't just accepting the family dynamic, I was seeing it for what it was, a toxic system built on my subjugation. The next morning, my phone buzzed. It was my mother. For a fleeting, foolish second, I thought it might be an apology. Olivia, we need to discuss your behavior, she began, her voice cold. You acted like a hysterical child last night and embarrassed the entire family. We had to make excuses for you. The audacity was breathtaking. Are you kidding me? I asked. I'm dropping off the paperwork at your apartment this afternoon, she continued, ignoring my question. You need to sign it and arrange the first payment with the bank. Mom, I said, my voice dangerously calm. I told you last night, and I'm telling you now. I am not paying the mortgage. I ended the call. It rang again instantly. I ignored it. Then came the texts. From my dad, they were lectures on loyalty and family duty. From my mom, they were guilt trips about her disappointment and heartbreak. Then, the next day, a call from Chloe. Liv, I heard what happened, she said, her voice dripping with indignation. I cannot believe how selfish you're being. This is my future. I almost laughed. Chloe, do you have any idea what you're asking? It's not that big a deal for you, she shot back. You can save up again later. If you loved me, you would do this for me. It's what sisters are for. I hung up the phone. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I went into my contacts and blocked them all. Mom, Dad, Chloe. A profound, shocking wave of peace washed over me. For the first time in my adult life, I was free. For a month, there was silence. Glorious, uninterrupted silence. I excelled at work. I met friends for dinner. I spent weekends blissfully browse real estate listings online. The weight I didn't even know I was carrying had been lifted. I assumed they had given up, that my father had reluctantly dipped into his retirement funds or they'd figured something else out. I was wrong. The war wasn't over. They had just escalated to nuclear weapons. It arrived on a bleak Tuesday in late January. Tucked between a Pottery Barn catalog and my electric bill was a crisp, formal envelope sent via certified mail. The return address was a law firm I'd never heard of. Peterson, Dunn, Finch. My hands trembled as I tore it open. The language was dense and legalese, but the message was brutally clear. My parents, Richard and Carol Miller, were suing me. The plaintiff was demanding the sum of $280,000 for what they termed reimbursement for parental investment and breach of familial duty. They had calculated a cost for every meal, every doctor's visit, every piece of clothing, every school supply for the first 18 years of my life. They were claiming I owed them this money because of my unwillingness to reciprocate the family's investment in my time of their demonstrated need. This wasn't just about the mortgage anymore. This was punishment. This was an attempt to ruin me. My first instinct was to call them, to scream, to cry. But then I saw the strategy for what it was. A calculated act of terrorism designed to scare me into submission. They wanted me to come crawling back, begging them to drop the suit in exchange for signing the mortgage papers. Instead of calling them, I called my old college friend, Ben Carter. Ben was now a litigator at a top firm in the city. Ben, it's Olivia. I have a situation that is beyond insane. I told him everything. The Christmas dinner, the condo, the mortgage, the old maid comment, and now, the lawsuit. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Jesus, Liv, he finally said. Can they do that? I whispered, the fear finally creeping in. Can they actually sue me for raising me? Ben's voice turned from friendly to steely. They can file whatever they want. It doesn't mean they'll win. In the state of California, parenting is a legal and moral obligation, not a business transaction with a delayed invoice. This is frivolous, and we're going to treat it as such. Don't talk to them. Don't respond to anything. Send me the letter. I'll handle it. 2 months later, I walked into the county courthouse. Ben was by my side, calm and confident. Across the sterile room, I saw them. My parents and their lawyer, a slick, reptilian man in an overly expensive suit. And behind them, in the gallery, sat Chloe, glaring daggers at me. The judge, a sharp, no-nonsense woman named Patricia Williams, called the case. My parents' lawyer, Mr. Lawyer, www. Peterson, stood and gave a flowery speech about the sacred bond of family and the expectation of mutual support. He argued that my parents had gone above and beyond their basic duties, providing a life of opportunity for which they now sought reasonable compensation, given my refusal to assist my sister. Judge Williams looked at him over her glasses, her expression unimpressed. Mr. Peterson, are you suggesting that love and affection have a quantifiable cash value that can be collected upon later? What exactly did your clients provide for the defendant, Ms. Miller, after she reached the age of legal adulthood at 18? Mr. Peterson faltered. Well, Your Honor, they provided emotional support. Did they pay for her college education? The judge cut in. No, she received a scholarship. Did they assist with her housing, her transportation, her living expenses? No, she was always very independent. So, they provided no financial assistance whatsoever once she was an adult. Is that correct? Mr. Peterson mumbled something inaudible. Then Judge Williams turned to Ben. Mr. Rodriguez, your response? Ben stood. Your Honor, this case is not just without merit. It is an insult to the legal system and the very concept of family. Parents have a statutory duty to support their minor children. Suing a child for the cost of their upbringing is legally and morally repugnant. Furthermore, we have documents here. He lifted a folder proving that my client, Ms. Miller, has been entirely self-sufficient since age 18. We also have documents showing that during the same period, the plaintiffs provided extensive and continuous financial support to their other adult child, Ms. Chloe Miller, including full payment of private college tuition and, most recently, the down payment on a luxury condominium. The judge looked at my parents. Their faces were crimson. Is this true, Mr. and Mrs. Miller? My mother found her voice, a weak, reedy thing. Chloe needed more help. Judge Williams's eyes narrowed. So you fully supported one adult child, gave nothing to the other, and now you are suing the child you did not help to pay for the one you did? And you framed this as a demand for reimbursement for raising her? My father tried to speak, but no words came out. The judge slammed her gavel down, the sound echoing in the silent courtroom. Case dismissed with prejudice. Mr. and Mrs. Miller, you will be responsible for all court costs and all of the defendant's legal fees. This is one of the most frivolous and vindictive lawsuits I have ever seen in my courtroom. Get out. The fallout was swift and catastrophic for them. The story of the lawsuit, combined with my aunt and uncle confirming the details to the rest of the family, spread like wildfire. Their friends from church and the country club suddenly stopped returning their calls. My mother was quietly asked to step down from her charity board. My father was ostracized by his golf buddies. They had built their entire identity on the pristine image of the perfect, generous family, and in one greedy, malicious act, they had burned it to the ground. The financial blow was even worse. Their lawyer's bill was astronomical. Combined with my legal fees that they were ordered to pay, they were financially crippled. About 3 months after the trial, Ben called me. "You're not going to believe this," he said. "I just saw a new listing on the MLS. A 2-bedroom condo at the waterfront development. They had to sell Chloe's apartment. They couldn't afford the mortgage payments without your money." A strange feeling washed over me, not joy, but a kind of grim, quiet satisfaction. Justice. Chloe and Liam had to move out and reportedly found a small rental on the other side of town. The dream, built on my expected servitude, had vanished. Life went on. I got a promotion at work. I kept saving. And 6 months after the trial, my own offer on a beautiful condo, hardwood floors, huge windows, a kitchen to die for, was accepted. It was in a quieter neighborhood, a place I had chosen for myself, paid for by myself. One evening, as I was packing boxes, my phone rang. An unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello?" A shaky voice on the other end. "Olivia, it's Mom." I said nothing. "Listen," she continued, her voice thick with a desperate false sweetness. "Your father and we've been thinking. We made a terrible mistake. We were just so stressed about the apartment, and we weren't thinking clearly. We're family, Olivia. Can't we just put this all behind us and make peace?" I sank down onto a stack of boxes, the phone feeling cold against my ear. "A mistake?" I said, my voice dangerously quiet. "You hired a lawyer. You dragged me into a courtroom. You tried to sue me for $250,000. You called me an old maid who didn't deserve a life of her own. That isn't a mistake, Mom. That's who you are." There was a sob on the other end. "Please, honey, we're your parents." I looked around at the boxes, at the tangible evidence of my own hard work, my own future. "No," I said, and the word was liberating. "You are the people who decided I was worth less. You are the people who tried to sacrifice my future for my sister's convenience. I don't want your peace. I don't want your apologies. I want this." I gestured to my empty, waiting apartment. My life, the one I built without you. I hung up the phone, and this time I knew they would never call back. I'm 33 now. I live in my beautiful condo. I am still single, and I am thriving in my career. Maybe my father was right. Maybe I will end up an old maid. But as I sit here in my living room, watching the sunset through my big new windows, I've realized something. Independence isn't a consolation prize. It's the trophy. I don't know if my parents ever understood the irony of their scheme. In trying to force me to pay for my sister's gilded cage, they handed me the keys to my own freedom. And for that, in a strange, twisted way, I'll always be grateful.